What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Be sure to hit that subscription button down at the bottom there, hit that bell notification, and be sure to support every single person in this group here. We are just rugby fans. No sponsorship. It's just rugby fans with real rugby opinions. So with the 2024 Six Nations Tournament now firmly in the rearview mirror, I feel like it's time to kind of break down how we all felt about it. Now, starting off honestly, there's no dog in the fight for me. I didn't support any team over any other, and I can't sit here and say I'm an unbiased opinion. Obviously, any of you guys that know me know that this is my team, this is who I back. But in all honesty, as a first time really sitting down and actually following this tournament, I tried to go into it with a pretty positive mindset. I will admit in the past, I have called it a Tier 2 competition, and, probably not rightfully so. But I felt like, hey, let's go through a breakdown of what we saw in this competition. I'll give you my opinions, and you let me know how you feel about it. But go ahead and starting out the very first round of the entire tournament, the two biggest teams in the entire tournament from Marseille, France. Obviously, we saw the disappointment in France and Ireland in the 2023 Rugby World Cup. And it started off with a bang. Ireland gets a bonus point. Paul Falemsa, that sounds like a really South African last name, gets a red card. It's because he is South African. And while the hype was building around all of this, I couldn't help but think that really, what were we really watching here? And in my opinion, this is really what I saw. The second game in the entire tournament saw England going up against Italy, the perpetual kind of wooden spoon in the Six Nations, and barely escaping with only a 3-point victory over Italy. And I was thinking, okay, is this what we have in store? I had gone into this tournament predicting that either Wales or Italy would be taking the wooden spoon home in this tournament, and through the first round, it was looking like I might be a bit correct, as Wales narrowly loses to Scotland, Italy loses to England, and I'm thinking, okay, is this going to be a super predictable tournament? So we get into the second round, France finally gets a victory, and we see Ireland absolutely decimate Italy, blanks them 38-0, and I'm starting to feel like the tournament is a bit predictable. I had picked Ireland to win it, and it was pretty obvious as to why after 2 rounds. Round 3 starts with yet another thrashing at the hands of the Irish, but this time the victim is Wales, and I'm thinking, like, yeah, it is kind of predictable at this point. We see Scotland beat England, and then the big one, the big shot. One of the teams that I had predicted to possibly get the wooden spoon ties France 13-all, and we're starting to see, okay, here's some twists and turns in the tournament. Maybe it's not nearly as predictable as I thought it would be. We get to round 4, and that's where things, in my opinion, kind of start to get a bit interesting. We've got Italy and Scotland, and I'm thinking, I'm picking Scotland, and then Italy turns around and does the unthinkable. They beat Scotland. So they are no longer the wooden spoon team at this point, and I'm wondering, okay, where's this tournament going to go? Wales has been very, very close in a couple of games, but granted, they did get their butts handed to them by the Irish. Then shortly after that, we get probably one of the biggest shockers in the tournament. We get Marcus Smith, who I have held up on a pedestal so high since he's even come into the test world, comparing him to the likes of one of my favorite all-time players, Johnny Wilkinson, and still kind of reeling from that quarterfinal in the World Cup where he ended up looking like this, and kind of wondering, when is that guy going to get a shot? Owen Farrell decides to bounce to France, and drop goal in the vein of Johnny Wilkinson to get the win. It's guaranteeing a Welsh wooden spoon in the tournament. And people are starting to talk about Italy, but really the real talk was Ireland can no longer win a Grand Slam. I've got a lot of fans who are in their feels about it, and I let them know, like, look, it's rugby. It's going to happen, folks. So obviously, the tournament ends as the way that I and a lot of other people predicted, with Ireland winning another Six Nations title. But there were certain things that I really have to kind of bring up in the tournament that I noticed that, just some things I just want to say. So leading into this whole tournament, Netflix released a documentary series based on last year's Six Nations, the 2023 Six Nations. And you got to kind of go behind the scenes with all the teams in the Six Nations. And there were a few things of note that were said that kind of soured my experience a bit on this. And I think the first thing we have to go ahead and start out with is this quote. Now, I'm no big football fan, but I don't recall Messi ever looking like this. Or, in my opinion, when I think Finn Russell, I just think, like, yeah, dude, you're not Messi. You're not the GOAT of anything except Scotland rugby at the moment. Which I get, it's a soundbite, it's something to create banter, but then it got even worse in my opinion. And then you get quotes like this from the coach of the French national team, Fabien Galtier. And, look, man, I guess, after God was done crafting your superior genetics, when it came to your myopia, I guess he took a day off. Like, there's nothing superior about your DNA. Just saying, buddy. And overall, the biggest, I guess, joke about the whole tournament, and, I think being a Springbok supporter, a Springbok fan, and having ties to South Africa, we hear the word quota a lot, and it's a really nasty word, and you guys don't understand it in the Northern Hemisphere because you don't have to deal with it. But then I realize World Rugby has a quota system, and my only proof of that is when you see this guy reffing a game. That man has no business reffing anything official, and of course the game that he referees mired in controversy. And to finish all of this up, how I generally felt, I have to go ahead and congratulate Ireland on another Six Nations championship. I know you hold these trophies very, very dear to your heart, and I know in your mind you think you're the best in the world, but to the rest of us, this is really all you are. And for all the clickbait articles that you'll see like this, if you want those to go away, you're going to have to be better than that. Because until you're better than that, you're a Six Nations champ. You're the best in the Six Nations. You're a 5th or 6th place team in the world. And for all your number one rankings that you are, you're really just a placard holder for the number one team and for the real champions.